Hey, Coach, when we talked to you the other night, you said you hoped you might hear more on TB within 24 hours or so. I guess what's the latest on the ankle and how he's moving around?
Yep. Severe sprain, will not participate in anything that we do today. Possibility of him going on an underwater treadmill to walk tomorrow. Not a glowing report. It wasn't something that he just woke up the next day and felt fine. Still got some more days before we play, but unable to to shoot around or anything today.
And I had a two-part question for you, if that's okay, on the net rankings. I know they change every day and everything like that, but what was your initial reaction when we saw where you guys debuted in that? And then is that something where you might assign a staff member to and say, hey, figure out how this formula works? That way we have an idea with all the fluctuations.
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't want my reaction. And it's way too early. So to me, it's irrelevant. We have a whole SEC schedule that's going to determine a lot for a lot of us, just as all of anybody that we've played. I mean, once you get into conference play, so yeah, it is what it is. We have a game Saturday. That's really all we should focus on. I mean, people start talking about March Madness and I don't know what it is, December 5th or 6th or something like that. And people, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. So it's, gives you guys something to talk about and gives something for me to be in a bad mood about.
Scotty?
Eric, this may sound like a silly question, but going back to his final games at Temple, Caleb has scored 20 plus points in a game more often than he hasn't. What have you observed in your time with him that makes him a gifted offensive player?
A couple things. One, can get a shot off real quick, can elevate over people. And if you crowd him, he's going to take the ball to the basket and draw free throws attempted. So when you have a guy that can shoot, dribble, and draw FTAs, really, Scotty, I mean, it makes him really hard to guard, and he has deep range. So I think all those things, factor into his ability to have an impact on the game offensively.
And then secondly, how do you view maybe the matchup in the front court between you guys and OU?
Yeah, I think when you look at Oklahoma, your question, Scott, is about up front. Obviously, number 10, Godwin, is a guy that plays really hard, really good around the rim, loves to set screens. He's a dynamic rim roller. Their point guard, number 12, loves to throw jump lob passes to him. The other center, Hugley's, can make threes. He made 4 threes against USC. He's a good post player with his back to basket because he's got good weight, good size. And then obviously up front, Moore is a really, really active player. Is the front of their little diamond press. He can guard 1 through 4. And then they come in with Soares. He's another athletic guy. So I think when you talk about their up front guys, those are the 4 guys that that you're talking about, and 2 of them super, super athletic. The 2 guys at the 4 spot for Coach Mosier, and then obviously the 2 big guys. They have 2 different games. I mean, Godwin's really good at going vertical, and then the other center is a guy that can make threes and can also post up with his back to the basket.
Jackson?
Eric, Layden Blocker, you've obviously trusted him to play, but when you talk to us, you mentioned there are still some things he has to work on. What's he like as a student of the game when you're kind of going over with him what he needs to work on? Is he a gym rat, a film junkie? Just what's he like as he learns what you want from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that well, first of all, I mean, he's got a full class schedule with not much online. I mean, so that's I think when some of these questions are asked, or just for the general public, it's a little bit different, with maybe a grad transfer that might have more classes online. But when a freshman, I mean, they got, full class load, and most of them are in person. So their timeline is a little bit different than some other guys that are upperclassmen with more online classes. So he is a student of the game. He does like film. He does ask the coaches question. He does know his scouting report. So all those things, I think, we're really happy with where, Layden is.
How pleased are you with kind of the early uptick in 3-point shooting from last year? It's a decent improvement, but do you think, there's even a higher ceiling for you guys there?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly I would hope that we're gonna even shoot better than we have. Davenport's a guy that we see it every day in practice. I mean, he should have a higher percentage than he does. I mean, Devo Davis last year in SEC play was incredible from 3-point range, and I think he'll shoot a higher percentage, just like he did last year as the season progresses. And then the other guys have done a good. T. Mark is such an underrated 3-point shooter. I mean, people want to back off him. Thank you. And then if you crowd him, he's got a quick first step as well. And obviously we've discussed Battle. And then L. Ellis is I think we have 3 guys on our roster that career wise are much better 3-point shooters than what they've shot in a small sample size thus far, those being Devo Davis, L. Ellis, and Davenport. I think all those guys. But Brazil, as good a pick and pop players as there is in the country right now, as far as somebody at his size, Battle shooting at a high level. And we certainly like the fact that, we're also one of the best free throw attempt teams, in the country as well. So if you can mix up 3-point shooting with dribble drive, attacks to the rim, I think that, that's a positive for us. And certainly we have to get a lot better defensively.
Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned after the game, T. Mark only missing the one game and how impressive that is. I'm just curious, how important was it for him to play in that game to maybe knock off a little bit of rust before playing Oklahoma this weekend?
Well, I think, Hutch, that was the decision that we had to make was, do we only use him if needed, or do we let him get back in the flow with his teammates and not have too long of a layoff? And obviously we went with the decision to play him. And, I think it's a huge positive for him and for the team, because we won a big game against Duke without him. And if we would have gone into this Oklahoma game without him playing in the last 2 games, I think it's a rhythm, it's a flow game. And I think it certainly gets effective now that he's back. We all understand the roles and everything a lot clearer with him back in the lineup.
And I know Coach Ruda handles the scheduling stuff for y'all, but this game, I guess with Oklahoma coming into the SEC, the game in Tulsa is going to go away. But would you like to maybe see a different opponent there? Like, do you like a neutral site, series like this that you have with Oklahoma? Could you see it being replaced with another team moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know what team that would be. A lot of people say they like to play it, but then, when you try to present dates, it does all of a sudden it doesn't really work out. So, who that would be. I think that this series was started because of a relationship between Lon Kruger and myself, because I had worked for Coach Kruger. Once Coach Kruger left, have incredible respect for Porter Moser, but we weren't really sure that it would continue. And then I think really administration took over at that point. And this game is probably being played now. That Coach Kruger and I, the agreement that we had, that, obviously that leaves, but I do think administration liked this game, and that's why it's being played. So I don't know, maybe administration will like another game that I don't know about in the series, which is totally cool. Or we just have to go out and we've been a little bit more aggressive. Obviously we play in San Diego next year for 2 games. We've reached out to some schools in the surrounding area that are big name schools to try to play there at their place, as we would lead into San Diego playing somebody. and then get them to return the following year. So that might be a replacement, for this game, at least next year, if we could get somebody on the West Coast to do a home and home with us, because we have to travel out there anyways. It would make some sense. It would be good for any of our fans that are going to travel for the 2 game in San Diego. Maybe they can catch a game in LA, or if we do another game in San Diego or something like that, however that may work.
Daniel?
Coach, this question's a little bit different, but just for some of the players that aren't in the rotation right now, just what are they like in practice, like Cade and, Denaje, and just what's their role in kind of preparing for these games as the season goes along?
Yeah, well, I mean, each of them have a different role, to be honest. I mean, Cade is on the scout team, Daniel, and obviously Minifield's on the scout team because he's not playing. Lawson is on the scout team because he's not playing. And then guys like D. Harris and JP and Bay, those guys are getting reps in like everybody else. And you hope that anybody that isn't playing significant minutes is going to have great pre-practice and post-practice. We got a bunch of people down there right now waiting on whoever might come out and want to work on their game. There's plenty of people here ready and willing to work with guys individually, and they have to come to the gym early and continue to get reps up.
Bob?
Hey, Eric, this is actually a question Nate wanted me to ask you, and I was kind of thinking along these lines too. Is there added significance to this game Saturday because OU's joining the SEC next year?
Not really. I mean, not really. I mean, no. I mean, we whether we were playing Texas or, I mean, look, they're a really well coached team. It's great they're coming in the league. Proximity, all those things make a lot of sense. But I'm not looking at Saturday's game and not for 1 second and saying, oh, wow, they're coming in the SEC next year. How are we going to play this game? I mean, I don't really care that they're coming into it at all. It's
And then, I'm sorry, was there something else you wanted to say on that?
That's good. You need to just shut me off.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to do that, but and then this is a coach's vote, not the media, but the coaches picked in the Big 12 picked OU to finish 12th. Of course, I picked BYU 13th, and I think they're combined like 16 or so. But OU hadn't gone to the NCAA tournament in a couple of years. Obviously, pressure's on. They brought in a lot of transfers. Kind of, what do you see from their team? And they seem like they're one of the surprise teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that all preseason polls are so meaningless in football, basketball, because you just don't know about chemistry. You don't know how pieces are going to fit together. Everyone's rosters are fluctuating. I love what Coach Moser's done. I mean, I think he's done an incredible job. They have some returners that are key pieces, like their point guard 12 and 10 and 3 is much improved at the small forward spot. So those 3 primary returners, and then they add really, really good pieces like number 2, McCollum at the off guard or point guard. He's kind of a combo guard who's a dynamic scorer who can really shoot the ball off the bounce. Moore is a guy that's played at Georgia Tech for 3 years. He's an energy guy, plays really hard, loves to dribble, drive, middle, crashes the offensive glass. So they have good physical strength and good physical athleticism at the small forward, power forward position. Really solid 3 backups. So I mean, they have a really, really solid 8-man rotation. I mean, he's got a great team, and so does BYU, by the way. Both those teams are really good, and the preseason stuff is, I mean, I don't know how anybody can have a true gauge when, as coaches, we don't even really know our team, you know, I don't think until the end of December. I think teams are still trying to figure things out. I know that Coach Daly always used to say in the NBA, you figure out your team about game 50. So I don't know how anybody could figure them out, you know, before we've even played a game or anybody's even watched a team scrimmage. That's kind of I mean, what a wild, you know, I don't know what word to use, but I knew they were going to be good. I thought their transfers they got were really good players, and I thought their returners were really good players. And I know he's an awesome coach. So yeah, that's a recipe to have a good team. Obviously, an undefeated team and a ranked team. It's a game that you got to bring your A game to compete with Oklahoma.
And then, you know, hopefully TB will be okay, but, you know, he's your leading block shot guy. And, you know, Chandler's done well. Mackay, you know, Layden had blocks the other night. You guys are averaging quite a few more blocks. You've had some big block games. Is that just personnel? Are you guys focusing on that more? Why do you think you're one of the top, at least so far, one of the top shot blocking teams in the country?
Well, one of the things that we talked about, I mean, it's not working because we foul a lot, which I'm still flabbergasted that we're a low steal team and a high foul team. So I don't know how that correlates at all, but that's the way it's gone for us. But we felt like, all right, we've gotten all these videos. We heard about the rule changes. They've come in, they've told us what the rule changes are. You're not going to be a high take a charge team. So if you're not a high take a charge team, you better be able to alter shots through blocking shots. So yes, I think philosophically, based on the fact that the referees and the NCAA told us, hey, dribble drivers are going to get rewarded, and maybe the defense, it's going to be a little bit harder to take charges. I think it affects the way that you do things on both sides of the ball. So if there are not going to be as many charges called, you better block shots and have great verticality.
And you know, I guess there's no stat on altered shots, but I think you guys had 15. You've had 10 in a couple. You had 10 against Duke, which I don't know how many times somebody blocks Duke 10 times. Probably not too often. But how do you think it's impacted the defense altering shots? And you know, I think Furman was something like 10 of 26 on layups the other night.
Yeah, but they roped threes. I mean,
we can't have everything.
We'd be a hell of a defensive team if we could guard the three and then keep all of our blocks like we are. But
well, I guess okay, I'll try to reword that. How do you think you guys have done in terms of altering shots and you know, protecting the rim? Not just blocking shots, maybe altered shots. That doesn't show up in the box score necessarily.
Yeah, no, I mean we've done a great job. You know, not only the obvious guys at altering shots, but Davenport's had some good blocks. You know, and certainly you mentioned Layden, but I mean, we do work on it, Bob. I mean, rear view mirror contests become very, very important for us. It is something we drill. It is something against Oklahoma that we're going to have to be good at. Their guards do a good job of snake dribbling. Their guards, for the most part, keep their dribble alive more than other guards that we've played. So, you know, we're going to have to protect the rim like our interior people are, and then our guards are going to have to continue to pursue the ball, you know, in pick and roll situations for sure.
I think OU's like plus 9.5 rebounding, and Furman had 15 offensive boards the other night. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but what do you think about the rebounding matchup? What do you guys got to do to stay on the boards with OU?
Yeah, Oklahoma's a great rebounding team. I don't have any of the numbers in front of me against, you know, teams like Duke. I don't have the rebounding numbers with UNC. I know we did a good job against Baycott on the glass. I thought we did a good job against Purdue and Zach Edey on the glass. You know, when we've had to rebound the ball, we've done a good job. That doesn't mean we're going to do that on Saturday. But, you know, I think that we did a poor job against Furman in two things that were a key part of the scouting report. That was guarding the three and dominating the glass. We were, you know, we were supposed to dominate the glass, not barely win it, and we didn't do that. So why that was, I'm not sure. But if they don't come to rebound, or we don't come to rebound, against Oklahoma, it's not going to be a close contest because they go to the glass. Both centers go to the glass. They have what we call flyers on the wing. That if you block them out, you can pick up some fouls on them too because they crash so hard. So blockouts, double blockouts are going to be important. But they're aggressive going to the offensive glass, and if we can get defensive rebounds, we do want to try to play with a decent pace. So defensive rebounding becomes really important for your transition game as well. And if somebody's as aggressive as Oklahoma going to the glass, you got a defensive rebound 1 through 5.
Yeah, I watched that game last night on ESPNU, and Providence took a lead in the second half, and then OU just blew their doors off. Ended up winning by 21. I'm sure you watched that or seen tape. What was your thought on how they really put it on Providence?
Yeah, I thought that a big key to that game was shot selection. If you settle for long threes, that's going to ignite a transition game. And they have 2 guys that are point guards, in my opinion, that play a lot of the game together, and they get out in transition, and then let their wings get out and run. And Providence has had a great year thus far at 7-1, and had beaten teams like Wisconsin, and that shows you how good Oklahoma is. Like, they're for real. This is not just a first third of the season or first fourth of the season. This is a really good team that's going to be good all year. So yeah, we got to play really well because Providence was, they were up 1 or down 1 with 14 minutes to go. So it was, through 25 minutes to play, it was a 1 possession game, and then that last, really 12 minutes of the game, Oklahoma did a great job opening up the game.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
I'll get one more question, just so you guys think I'm a nice guy, since Mike stopped it. One more question.
I was going to say I vote in a lot of polls, and my feelings are kind of hurt.
Well, I wasn't talking about you. You didn't vote in the Big 12.
I know. I just kid.
See you guys.